So my question to you is, will you tell the American people to whom you lent $2.2 trillion of their dollars? Will you tell us who got that money and what the terms are of those agreements?
We explain each of our programs. In terms of the terms, we explain the terms exactly. We explain what the collateral requirements are. We explain what
to whom did you explain that?
It's on our website.
Yeah, okay.
So all that information is available in our commercial paper program.
And who got the money?
Hundreds and hundreds of banks. Any bank or that has access to the U.S. Federal Reserve's discount.
Will you tell us who they are?
No, because the reason that is counterproductive and will destroy the value of the program is that banks will not come to the business.
Isn't that too bad?
The Federal Reserve doesn't have any money.
Yes. We're all getting screwed over. There's no way we can pay off the debt.
Because they felt that the way that society should be organized was by natural principles. You know, I'm a biologist by training. I'm a PhD at MIT, but irrespective of those credentials, what you do learn is that nature is highly decentralized. If you look at the human cell, do we have one cell? No, we have 10 trillion cells, all which work together, but it's decentralized. Nature at its fundamental level organizes everything in a decentralized way. And nature is the ultimate designer. So when we go back to traditional societies thousands of years ago, the notion was we were supposed to have lots and lots of small villages, small communities, small collectives working together. There was not supposed to be this centralization of power. Particularly over the last 100 to 200 years, we've seen the centralization of power, particularly after World War II in the 1940s. And so what we have is we have institutions like that State House over there, which you have career politicians and you have a political class. And they live in the era of collusion. Many of these guys do not know anything about economics, mathematics, politics, nothing. What they do know is how to get elected and how to push principles that have nothing to do with everyday human beings. The Fed, if you really think about it, represents the ultimate centralization of power.
10% of the federal budget is used to pay interest to a private bank for the money that the United States government borrows in your name. Why is the government borrowing money from a private bank when we can just print it ourselves as provided for in the U.S. Constitution? Demand an audit and demand the end of the Federal Reserve banking scam.
It's a scam. Privately owned by the same people that orchestrated our recession.
One of the illusions that the Fed does is act as though it's run by the government, right? As though it's our banking system. When in fact, it's a centralization of monopoly capitalists and monopoly imperialists and monopoly globalists in the world. And they seek one thing, which is not freedom, but control. So they want to be able to control the rise of stock prices and the dropping of stock prices, and they make money on the way up and they make money on the way down. That's what the Fed is really about, right? And the political class supports that entire system. And so you have the establishment like Hillary Clinton, whoever you want to put there. Then you have everyday people like ourselves who take time out on our Saturdays to come out here and build movements. And then you have the not so obvious establishment, be it Elizabeth Warren and others, who essentially exist to suck the lifeblood out of movements and bring them back into central power.
Yes.
Right? That's what they exist for. They exist to centralize power. Elizabeth Warren, who claims that she fights for the small person, has actually destroyed 1,200 community banks. What makes the United States viable and actually a very thriving economy relative to the other economies has been about 8,000 small banks. I don't know if you guys know that. 8,000 small banks. You know, if you're a local entrepreneur, if you're a local contractor, you build a relationship at the local level. That's how a lot of the wealth in this country got created. But after Elizabeth Warren and Dodd-Frank, we centralized the banking system further. 1,200 banks got destroyed. And so people like Elizabeth Warren, I mean, it's obvious to see where Hillary Clinton stands, right? It's obvious to see where all of the Bushes stand. But it's people like Elizabeth Warren that everyday people get confused by. They think she's a fighter, but she actually is the not-so-obvious establishment, supports the Fed, wants to centralize power, wants to create big pharma, big insurance, big hospitals, big academic institutions, and she does not fight for the small person. So I think what you guys have organized here, and I'm happy to come out here and participate in this, is excellent because it brings back the truth that centralization of power is anti-American. Thank you.
Okay, I'll ask about one question about the Federal
No, you
Reserve.
can have an answer to that one too, and the answer is no.
Okay, so you don't want to audit the Federal Reserve. There's a bill in the Senate right now to audit the Federal Reserve. Are you in support of that?
No, I'm not, because what that bill really is misleading. That bill is about politicizing the Fed, and I'm very much against it.
Don't you think there's a...
Are we going to audit the Fed, and then we're going to end the Fed, and then we're going to make America states again? Woo! You know, the Fed says, and the government says, hey, just trust us, you know, we'll make your money good, we're not going to deflate it by 97% over 100 years. Yeah. We all know that. They are not trustworthy. They lied to us about Obamacare, right? If you like your pledge, you can keep your pledge. Yeah, that didn't really work out for most of us either. They lied to us about weapons of mass destruction. Boom! And as much as we need to audit and end the Fed, we also need to end the wars. Yeah. Woo! Woo! They lied to us about police misconduct. They tell us, oh, it's only a few bad apples. But you know what? It's an epidemic of bad apples. It's an epidemic of isolated incidences. They lied to us, of course, about inflation and money creation. They tell us, you know, they have everything under control and we should just trust them. I say we should never, ever trust them.
Demand transparency, audit the Fed!
10% of the federal budget goes to pay interest. Why are we paying 9% of our federal budget to pay
We live in a really exciting time because the paradigm is shifting. For the first time in history, they have lost control of the narrative. Technology allows us to communicate messages of truth to each other and to reach out to more people and help them to understand the truth. Let's talk a little bit about other solutions. Previous speaker mentioned cryptocurrencies. That is a legit way for us to circumvent the state. If they're not going to audit the Fed, I say let's stop using their money. Woo! Woo! So if you...
Oh, wow.
What's going on over here that we're addressing today?
I say they lie to us so much about everything. The biggest lie is that we need them at all. Woo!
Yeah!
The state is all about force. They have to force you to agree with their ideas. They force you at the barrel of a gun. I say we are living in the 21st century. There are better options. Let's build a voluntary society where every interaction between humans is voluntary, willing, peaceful, and beautiful. Fuck the state.
Woo! We the people demand to know where the money is being spent, who's being bailed out, and what interest is being paid to service the debt. The best we know, 10% of our federal budget every year goes to pay the money to the Federal Reserve for interest on the money we borrow from private banks. Why can the United States not print its own money? Why can we not honor Article 1, Section 8 of our Constitution? Why do we need private banks to loan our own troops of our own labor to us at interest? That's the Fed scam today.
Fed, all your money, all your dollar bills, they're printed by the Federal Reserve.
Let me begin by offering a quote by Ron Paul, the person who single-handedly introduced me to libertarian politics and helped shape who I am today.
Dr. Paul!
He said, for over 100 years,
the money issue has been absent from our political process. No political campaign has focused on it or even said much of anything about it. For most people, in fact, the Fed is a complete mystery. Its operation is incomprehensible. That seems to be just the way the Fed likes it.
Congress, although not by law, essentially has given up all its oversight responsibilities over the Fed. There are no true audits. Congress knows nothing of the conversations, the plans, and the action taken in concert with other central banks. We get less and less information regarding the money supply each year, especially now that we don't even have access to M3 statistics. The role the Fed plays in the President's secretive working group on financial markets goes essentially unnoticed by Congress. The Federal Reserve shows no willingness to inform Congress voluntarily about how often the working group meets, what action it takes that affects the financial markets, or why it takes these actions. But all these actions directed by the Federal Reserve alter the purchasing power of our money. And that purchasing power is always reduced. The dollar today is worth only 4 cents compared to the dollar that the Federal Reserve started with in 1913.
You're supposed to be bored by it. You're supposed to treat it as a given, like the air we breathe. You're supposed to have confidence in it. Surely the experts who run our monetary system for us, and who of course have a vested interest in perpetuating the system we now have, couldn't be giving us bad advice, right? Yeah. But point to it as the source of our eroding standard of living, the ravages of the boom-bust business cycle, and the financial bubbles that have ruined countless Americans. This is simply not to be found anywhere along the spectrum of allowable opinion in America.
You don't have money, it's a scam. It's a scam.
I totally agree that we should renegotiate NAFTA.
10% of our national budget, 10% goes to paying interest to the Federal Reserve for money that they lend to us that's based on the fruits of our own labor. We don't need private bankers to lend us money for the fruit of our own labor. Then they turn around and they bail each other out. JP Morgan bails itself out. General Electric bails itself out. They're bailing out central banks across the world, all on your backs.
Individual freedoms are the four most important qualities that we hold dear as Americans. With our individual freedom comes the ability to invest in a free market economic system, not burdened down by regulations, unnecessary and unconstitutional taxes, and predatory institutions bent on destroying our currency. Woo! The public is made purposely and effectively unaware and apathetic to the existence of the Federal Reserve and what their purpose in government is. Newsflash, there isn't one. Woo! They are not a government agency. This private corporation has such a long-standing stranglehold on our currency, with little to no accountability to the people. Congress has long past sacrificed its ability to effectively hold others accountable for their actions in dealing with taxpayer money, and does next to nothing to fix the problems that we now have.
No more bailouts! No more bailouts! No more bailouts!
The best way the government perpetuates enslavement is by controlling the wealth and currency of its people. Too many of us, for far too long, have been shackled into this monetary slavery by paying unconstitutional taxes, having our wages stolen to pay for programs and military interventionism, and with increasing our ever-growing debt. Inflation, currency manipulation, interest rates, predatory loan practices, credit card debt, student loan debt, all of these issues contribute to poverty rates, hardships in saving for retirement.
Marvelous.
The Federal Reserve and other banking institutions only exist for profit at the expense of the American people. Woo! Woo!
people that do not exist to fill the coffers of tyrannical government. That den of thieves. We exist to fulfill our unique purpose, whatever that purpose is, for the individual.
The state is not God.
We should not be held economically captive by singular, corruptive, secretive, and manipulative private organizations. Thomas Jefferson said once, "I believe the banking institutions are more dangerous to our liberties than standing armies." Already they have raised up a money aristocracy that has set the government at defiance. The issuing power of money should be taken away from the banks and restored to the people to whom it properly belongs.
Everybody wave and say hi to the cameras as we protest the Federal Reserve Bank and its predatory policies. Hi, Federal Reserve Bank. We're here. We are not going to shut up about your predatory policies. Come out and say hi. Come and defend yourselves.
I became a state representative in New Hampshire to reduce the size of the establishment in my state and to decentralize the power of government. My principles of small, limited government bring me here today, where I stand firm against tyrannical bureaucracy and economic enslavement by private corporations that manipulate our currency. I stand here to demand transparency.
Remember us. We're the people you're supposed to represent.
Crony capitalism should no longer be the status quo in this country. Free market capitalism, with the freedom to do with our money what we will, should replace the corrupted system we've grown far too accustomed to. The power belongs to the people. Not with the banks, not with pseudo-government agencies.
Power to the people.
Our civil liberties are always at stake as long as government overreach is in our pocket, in our businesses, and in our bedrooms.
Yes.
Where do we draw the line, people?
Right here.
We stand up and say something.
Audit the Fed.
Why is there so much fear in allowing people to live autonomously? Why is there so much fear in allowing people to make their own choices when it comes to their body or their property or their money? The answer is because the institution of government knows that if enough people rejected the kind of control and excessive regulations that we have now, they would lose much of their power and influence. No governing power, from the monarchs of old to the legislative bodies of today, ever wants to relinquish its domain to the commoner. But it's the commoners like you and I that hold the true power. The Constitution grants us the ability to start fresh if the government becomes tyrannical. Would you say it has? I would. I think it's time that we demand reforms, and we demand them now. In conclusion, the point of us gathering here is to make a statement that we are done with liberties being threatened by crony capitalism, tyrannical government with no accountability, and to call for reforms that include ending the Federal Reserve. Let's fix our money. Let's get our country back on track. Thank you.
This is a quote from the building that we are standing in front of. When you or I write a check, there must be sufficient funds in our account to cover the check. But when the Federal Reserve writes a check, there is no bank deposit on which that check is drawn. When the Federal Reserve writes a check, it is creating money out of thin air. Putting it simply, Boston Federal Reserve. This organization is putting money into existence that does not exist and is further inflating the cost of goods in the country, and it is further increasing the national debt that we are paying interest on every single year in the amount no less than 10% of the entire federal budget. Money that could be used to create roads, or could be used to lower the cost of services, or money that just shouldn't be taken out of your pocket in the first place.
What have you?
He's the best shot of the day.
1, 2, 1, 2.
The Federal Reserve is a private entity, ladies and gentlemen.
Fed, all your money, all your dollar bills, they're printed by the Federal Reserve.